Scorpio, welcome to your astrology reading for the month of October. So before I jump into this is going to be most applicable for your rising sign, which is how other people perceive you, especially when they first meet you. It's still applicable for your sun sign, which is how you express yourself, and then also your moon sign, which is how you process everything internally through that emotional lens. And so really understanding all three is going to give you a better picture on how the month is going to play out for you. And we're just going to jump right in. There's a lot happening this month. And so right away on October 2nd at 2:49 in the afternoon Eastern time, we actually have a solar eclipse. So this is the annual solar eclipse. It's a new moon in the sign of Libra. And so what this means is you've got the sun and the moon. They're at the same degree point in the sky. And here for you, it's sitting in your 12th house. So this is your inner self. This is your subconscious, or this is maybe you behind the scenes, meaning things that you do when you're in private, away from your friends, your family, work, all of these things. And so there's something really balanced about all of this, the way that you're expressing yourself, the way that you feel about just who you are, where you are right now. It all feels very balanced with that Libra energy. But it's not just the sun and the moon, they're also conjunct Mercury in the sign of Libra. And so this indicates there's a lot of balanced conversations that are happening right now. The way that you're coming across to other people and the way that you're communicating with other people is very harmonious and balanced. And it's that energy of bringing things together and maybe trying to find some sort of compromise, because that definitely feels like the energy that I'm getting is that you feel very balanced on the inside, and it allows you to kind of permeate on the outside, where you can have those kind of balanced conversations with other people. The only sort of difficult aspect is the sun and moon will square Mars in the sign of Cancer. Mars in Cancer for you is in your 9th house of growth. Cancer, water sign, so it's all about your feelings. Mars is all about action, so it wants to take some sort of action here. It's usually an energy of maybe cutting things away or doing something that's kind of like, nope, I'm ready, let's go. Let's just take some sort of action here. And so you can kind of see if the actions that you're trying to take in order to grow are meant to transform you in some sort of way, or to release something here in some sort of way, it's counteracting any kind of balance that you have going on. And you can kind of see where the obstacles and challenges are going to come into play, just because the focus right now is on balance, not on making any kind of change. And then on the 8th, we have Venus trine Mars. And so this one here will happen at 6:21 in the morning Eastern time. This is a beautiful energy, and we actually see this resurface towards the end of the month. And what this means is it's a grand trine. So you actually we have Venus in the sign of Scorpio, we have Mars in the sign of Cancer, and then we have both Neptune and Saturn in the sign of Pisces. And so they legitimately are forming a triangle, and it's all water signs. And so this is a lot of emotions coming to the surface. This is a really beautiful energy. Venus being in your sign, this is going to affect you on a personal level, the way that you feel about yourself, feeling very passionate, very loyal, maybe having some deep, intense conversations with other people, or just the way that you're expressing yourself in general right now, coming across that way. Where we saw that Mars in Cancer, probably not the best energy on the 2nd. It's a lot better here on the 8th, because Mars in Cancer in your 9th house, to me, says that this Venus in your 1st house, so however you feel about yourself, fully aligns and easily blends with whatever action that you want to take for your own personal growth. And it's also going to completely flow with however you feel about children, hobbies, anything that you do outside of work that's really meant for fun and for pleasure, because it's that 5th house energy. It's all about fun. That's where Saturn and Neptune, they're both retrograde, but that's where they are right now in the sign of Pisces in your 5th house. And so you can kind of see how you feel about yourself, the action that you want to take for your growth, and just what are your ideal circumstances? What are you working towards? What are your goals when it comes to children, your hobbies, anything that you're passionate about outside of work? Because that's what this energy is all about. It's just an easy flow of energy throughout this triangle. We do have one challenging aspect here, and that is Venus in Scorpio opposite Uranus retrograde in Taurus. And this just indicates, one, Venus is a very grounding, balanced type of energy here. It's the ruler of both Taurus, an earth sign, and Libra, a very balanced energy as well. And it's opposite Uranus, which is a planet of transformation. It's one of the two. And so these would be sudden changes that might be happening in your relationship, your significant relationship. If you're married, it would be your marriage partner. If you live with somebody, it would be that kind of relationship, really that kind of deep, intense connection with another person, that commitment to another person. And so it is going to be opposite. Maybe being loyal to yourself might be just contrary to any changes that are happening in that relationship. And these changes, because Uranus is also retrograde, these would be changes that are internal to you, and it's just the impact of that relationship and the changes happening there. And then we have Jupiter stationed retrograde in the sign of Gemini. That happens on the 9th at 3:04 in the morning Eastern time. And so when this happens, for you, this is sitting in your 8th house. Jupiter is the planet of growth and expansion and optimism and being able to see the big picture. But it's actually at its weakest point right now in the sign of Gemini because it rules Sagittarius, but it's in the opposite sign of Gemini. And so the growth here might be a little bit more difficult, or maybe a little bit less than what you normally would see with the Jupiter transit. But here, because Jupiter is stationing retrograde, all of the growth and abundance that you would have experienced outside of yourself, it's now all going to be reflected inward. So this is a really good time for any kind of internal transformation that is meant for your growth. And so when Jupiter stations retrograde, it's going to trine the sun in Libra. So these changes, this internal reflection and maybe modifications that you're making to yourself in order to grow and expand, it's going to easily blend with how you feel about yourself, that balanced type of energy. It's also easily going to blend with Mercury in the sign of Libra. So again, with the balanced conversations, this all completely blends, very easy flow of energy. This all really aids in whatever transformation you're making to yourself that is meant for your own growth. Jupiter retrograde in Gemini will sextile Chiron retrograde in Aries. And so when it comes to there's some sort of wound in your daily life that has come to the surface. We've been seeing this over the last several months, and it's really being highlighted here again. Whatever internal transformation you're going through that is really meant to help you grow and expand, create some sort of abundance in your life, it is going to create an opportunity here to take some sort of action to heal this wound, whatever this wound is in your daily life. And then we have Jupiter retrograde in Gemini, square Saturn retrograde in Pisces. And so when it comes to, well, it's not just Saturn, it's actually Neptune as well. So I'll talk about them both collectively. So Neptune and Saturn in Pisces. Saturn is all about the work that you're doing. It's retrograde, so what kind of inner work are you doing? Neptune is your dreams, your goals. It's actually the ruler of Pisces. So it's that same energy and it's in that sign. And so this is all about what are your goals when it comes to children and hobbies and things like that? What are you working on? A lot of this right now is internal reflection because Neptune is also retrograde. And so you're doing some sort of inner work towards these goals, maybe seeing the truth about how realistic are these goals. Is there any kind of maybe resetting of the goals that you want to do? And this square with Jupiter retrograde in Gemini just means if you're trying to grow and expand, it's just creating some sort of obstacle and challenge to the work you're doing on passion projects or with children, something around that kind of area of your life, anything you do outside of work for fun. And you can kind of see where it would be a little bit of a friction because you're trying to change something within yourself. So you're not really focused on anything else. And that's where that dichotomy is coming from. And then we have Jupiter retrograde in Gemini, opposite the moon in Sagittarius. This one here is really interesting because it's not just about transformation. Transformation is usually the one that comes up. And I say that because we're definitely in a period of transformation. But the 8th house, it also embodies the money that you make from an outside source. So think of your employer. It's also the money you pay to other people, like what debt you have, mortgages, things like that. It could be spouse's income here, inheritance, all the ways that money could be coming in or going out. That is also part of your 8th house. So if you're doing anything internally to make adjustments to that area of your life, to the money that you pay out to other people or that you bring in as far as income is concerned, it's going to be opposite this moon in Sagittarius, which is sitting in your 2nd house. Sagittarius rules your 2nd house of personal finances. So this is the money that you already have, maybe things that you already have, because things could be part of the 2nd house if you value them, if they have some sort of monetary value connected to them. And so you can kind of see what I have, how I feel about what I have versus how I feel about what's coming in or maybe even going out. They're going to be in opposition to each other. So it looks like if part of this transition is about earning more money or generating an additional income in some way, it's just opposite to how you feel about what you already have. And then we have Pluto stationed direct in the sign of Capricorn. So that's going to happen on the 11th at 8:32 in the afternoon, evening, Eastern time. And this one's a pretty big deal. And so we started the year off with Pluto in Capricorn, and then it moved into Aquarius. And then it stationed retrograde. And then it came back into Capricorn. And now it's stationing direct again in the sign of Capricorn. And then next month it goes into Aquarius. This is it. We will not see this come back to Capricorn energy in our lifetime. When it moves into Aquarius next month, it's going to stay there until 2043. So we're with this energy for quite some time. And so Pluto in Capricorn is sitting in your third house. This is your house of conversations and communication, and even the way that you process information here. But Pluto is, it's the ruler of your sign, so it's very much aligned with you. So this is all about death and rebirth. These are things that need to change, things that you need to get rid of, new beginnings. There's a lot connected to that Pluto energy, and it's sitting in the sign of Capricorn. But it's not just sitting in the sign of Capricorn. It actually learned something when it was in that Aquarius energy. Capricorn likes to come up with a long-term plan. What's the strategy in order to achieve some sort of result here? And sometimes the strategy that you implement gets modified along the way, kind of normal life. And maybe it got to a point where it was becoming really restrictive, really limiting in what you were able to accomplish. And so when Pluto moves into Aquarius, like it did earlier this year, it said, oh, no. All those restrictions, limitations, they don't work for me. Let's start liberating you from some of that. And so because Pluto has changed, that's where some changes were taking place. And so you learned some of that with that Pluto in Aquarius, and now it's come back into Capricorn for kind of one last hurrah. And now it's, okay, well, if I'm going to implement some sort of structure here, it needs to be flexible. It needs to be something that is actually going to align with a long-term strategy here. It's not something that I need to tear down next month when it goes back into Aquarius. And so when Pluto stations direct, it will conjunct the moon in Aquarius. And so these conversations that you have, the way that you communicate with other people, that does seem to be changing. You seem to be kind of implementing a new way of expressing yourself or engaging in some sort of discussion with other people, or maybe even the way that you see things now, the way that you think about things. That's all changing here. And it will conjunct the moon in Aquarius, which is sitting in your fourth house of home. And so how you feel about your home life, which is very, very liberating and very kind of, it's the rebel of the Zodiac. And so it's a really positive energy there. And so it just, whatever you're doing right now, whatever is changing in your communication style, just easily blends with how you feel about your home life. We do have Pluto in Capricorn, Trine, Uranus, retrograde in Taurus. And so any kind of changes that are happening in your significant relationship here. So your marriage partner, if you're married, or your significant other here, those sudden changes that are taking place. And again, it's more your perception of the relationship or your interpretation of the way things are playing out that is really changing here, because Uranus is retrograde. So it's an internal change. And these would be those kind of sudden aha moments in this connection. Well, it's easily going to blend with whatever changes are happening in your communication style. We also have Pluto in Capricorn, sextile, Neptune retrograde in Pisces. And so these changes that are happening to your communication, they're going to create some sort of opportunity here for you to go after exactly what you want as it relates to your passion projects, to children, the things that you enjoy doing for fun. This is an opportunity you would have to seize. It's not something that's just going to organically happen here. And then we have Pluto in Capricorn, square Mercury in the sign of Libra. And so whatever change is happening in your communication style, it's going to create obstacles and challenges to having balanced conversations. But you can kind of see why, because you're making changes. It's very hard to stay grounded and feel like everything's fine when everything is changing. It's like one or the other. You have to kind of figure out which energy are you in right now, and then the other one is going to be kind of at odds with it. And that's really what this is coming down to. We actually see this energy a lot throughout the month, where if you're in this period of transformation, being stable, a little bit more difficult. If you're in this energy of being stable, any kind of transformation is going to be difficult because you're comfortable. Why change? So that's the square to Mercury in Libra. We do have Pluto in Capricorn, square Chiron, retrograde in Aries. So whatever this wound is that's in your daily life right now, it's going to it's really about your communication and the way that you're understanding everything now that's going to create some sort of obstacle or challenge to taking any kind of action on that at this time. So if you're trying to heal this wound, you know that you need to address it. It's kind of get through the transformation first, because Pluto is going to move back into Aquarius here in about a month. And then maybe you have an opportunity here to really go after and heal that wound. Pluto in Capricorn is opposite Mars in the sign of Cancer. And so any kind of conversations that you're having, just again, the changes in the way that you're communicating and understanding things, it's going to be contrary to any kind of action that you want to take in your career. That's an energy you can work with. Oh, what did I say? Career. I meant I'm seeing Cancer, and I don't know, I read that as career. It's for your growth. It's sitting in your 9th house of growth and expansion. So that actually kind of makes sense too, because because Pluto is about getting rid of things. It's not just about changing for the better. It's about getting rid of all the white noise, all the stuff that's really been holding you back. And so I can see you there, where if you're trying to take some sort of action to grow, it's almost like you have to get rid of all the old baggage first. And then we have Mercury enter the sign of Scorpio. So that's going to happen on the 13th at 3:24 in the afternoon Eastern time. And so Mercury in your sign, this is a lot of your energy. The way that you're communicating fully aligns with who you are, how other people perceive you. Love to see this energy. You're communicating in a very kind of intense, transformational type of way. You're really getting into the root of who you are. This Mercury in Scorpio will conjunct the sun in Libra. And so you're going to feel very balanced about this. The way that you're expressing yourself, even though it's kind of these deep, intense conversations that you're having, there's still going to be an element of feeling very balanced during these conversations. You will. I'm not sure about the other person, but you will. And then we have Mercury in Scorpio, trine the moon in Aquarius. And so the way that you're expressing yourself right now, the conversations that you're having, they are going to easily flow with how you feel about your home and your home environment here. Mercury in Scorpio will also trine Jupiter retrograde in Gemini. And so these kind of intense conversations that you're having, they're easily going to flow with whatever you're trying to achieve from a transformation standpoint. Could also be connected to the money that you earn. And so if you want to have some sort of intense conversation around money, I mean, this would be the time. And it's really an internal kind of action that you're going after, where maybe it's your viewpoint on the money that you make or something along those lines, but it is going to easily flow. So if you are thinking about having some sort of conversation as it relates to money that is coming in from an outside source or the money that you pay, this would be, because remember, Jupiter's abundance and it's sitting in that house. So there is abundance connected to the money that you earn or the money that you're spending. So keep that in mind. Mercury in Scorpio will square Mars in Cancer. And so these kind of intense conversations that you're having, they are going to create obstacles and challenges to taking any kind of action that is meant to help you grow and expand in your own way. And then we have Mercury in Scorpio square Pluto in Capricorn. And so the intense conversations that you're having right now, they are going to create some sort of obstacle or challenge to the changes that are happening in the way that you communicate, the way that you understand things here. And it's more of, because you're doing everything that's really intense right now, that it's really kind of centered around you and the way that you're expressing yourself. So if part of the transformation that's happening as it relates to your communication style is maybe taking the tone down a bit and really taking that step back and having taking a different approach to conversations, maybe that's not in alignment with the way that you typically communicate or express yourself in some sort of way. And so that would be that square energy. You can certainly work with the energy. You just have to put the effort in. And then we have the full moon in the sign of Aries. So that's going to happen on the 17th at 7:26 in the morning Eastern time. And so when this happens, you have the sun and the moon, they're at opposite points in the sky. The sun is all about the way that you're expressing yourself. The moon is how you feel. And so you can kind of see they're at odds with each other. For you, this one is in your 12th house. So again, kind of you behind the scenes, your internal self. And it's opposite how you feel about your daily life. And it's that push-pull energy. And just like with all full moons, we have the sun having conversations, moons having conversations with planets. They're not always in alignment. But here in this one, we actually do have some alignment between these two. So the first one is it's really the moon in Aries is conjunct Chiron retrograde in Aries. So whatever that wound is in your daily life that is now coming to the surface, how you feel about your daily life, the action that you take in your daily life fully aligns with healing that wound. And because the moon is in a conjunction with Chiron, the sun is going to be opposite that energy. So the way that you're expressing yourself right now, that kind of balanced self-expression, it is just contrary to any kind of action that you're trying to take to heal that wound. And then we have the sun, trine, Jupiter retrograde in Gemini. And so this kind of balanced self-expression, the way that you feel about that, because it is that inner you, it is going to easily flow with whatever internal growth that you're trying to achieve here. And so this, again, internal growth could be connected to the money that you earn. It just could be connected to your changes in general. We are, again, in a very heavy transformational period right now. Definitely been seeing that for the last couple of months. And where the sun had an easy blend of energy, the moon actually has a pretty positive energy here as well. So the moon in Aries is going to sextile Jupiter retrograde in Gemini, which means how you feel about your daily life, your daily routines here, it's going to create some sort of opportunity for even more growth and expansion in your life, even more transformation. So think of abundance. What is it that you're trying to achieve here in your daily life? Because you're being given an opportunity to pursue something here. It's just something that you would have to act on. And then we actually have two T-squares happening here. We have the sun in Libra and the moon in Aries are both going to square Mars in the sign of Cancer. So when it comes to taking some sort of action that is meant to help you grow and expand who you are, that kind of balanced inner you, feeling balanced, expressing yourself in that way, it's going to create some sort of obstacle or challenge to making any changes that are meant for your growth. The moon in Aries is actually going to do the same thing. So how you feel about your daily life is going to create some sort of obstacle or challenge here to any kind of action that you're trying to take in order to grow and expand. And so during this full moon, we'll have the sun and the moon both square Pluto in the sign of Capricorn. And so this balanced kind of inner expression of who you are will create some sort of obstacle or challenge in transforming the way that you communicate or the way that you understand information, how you feel about your daily life and your daily routines, same energy, where it's going to create some sort of obstacle or challenge to changes happening in your communication style or just the way that you understand everything that's happening. And then we have Venus enter the sign of Sagittarius. So this actually happens on the same day. It's just later in the day. So on the 17th at 3:29 in the afternoon Eastern time, Venus enters Sagittarius, and for you, that is sitting in your second house of personal finances. So Venus likes to bring things together. It rules relationships, so there's a lot of harmony, there's a lot of balance. There's a very grounded energy to this because you're very focused on what you value, something that's tangible. It's in a tangible house, and so love to see that there. Sagittarius is a very fun-loving, adventurous type of energy where it's a free spirit. Can be impulsive at times, but definitely optimistic about where things are going, great at seeing the big picture. And so when it comes to your personal finances and what you value here, this is going to easily blend with whatever action that you want to take for your growth, because we have Venus in Sagittarius, trine Mars in Cancer. And so that Mars in Cancer energy says, I'm going to take something here. I need to do something. Mars is a separating energy, so it wants to remove things from your life. It doesn't necessarily want to bring things together. The action that Mars takes, Mars is the god of war, so it's not about necessarily bringing things together. It's about getting rid of some stuff. And then we have Venus in Sagittarius, trine Neptune retrograde in Pisces. And so how you feel about the money that you have, what you value here easily flows with your goals connected to children or your hobbies, your passion projects, anything that you do for fun. We also have Venus in Sagittarius, sextile Pluto in Capricorn. And so the way that you feel about, or the way that you're, I guess feeling is the right word because it's a Venus energy. So it's a lot of kind of bringing things together. So something harmonious and balanced within your personal finances or what you value here. It's going to create some sort of opportunity for you to make changes in the way that you communicate or the way that you process and understand what's happening here. Now, Venus in Sagittarius does have a little bit of a friction point here. It will be opposite Uranus retrograde in Taurus, but Venus, being a balanced type of energy, is going to be opposite anything here that's about transformation. And so that Uranus energy is one of those planets of transformation. It's that sudden kind of transformation. If I was looking at a tarot deck right now, it would be the Tower card. And so it is going to be opposite. So feeling harmonious and balanced when it comes to your finances and what you value, it is going to be opposite this Uranus retrograde in Taurus, which is sitting in your house of your significant other. So your marriage partner, if you're married, your serious kind of long-term relationship. And then we have the sun enter your sign. So the sun will enter Scorpio on the 22nd at 6:15 in the evening Eastern time. And so just kind of like what we saw when Mercury entered Scorpio, with the sun entering Scorpio, this is a lot of you expressing yourself, the way that you want to be seen, really putting yourself out there in a very kind of like a passionate, loyal, I was getting the word provocative, could be provocative type of way. So the sun in Scorpio will trine Jupiter retrograde in Gemini. And so the way that you're expressing yourself could be very transformational. You could be coming across very different right now than what you normally do. It's going to easily flow with whatever growth and expansion you're trying to achieve. This could be connected to the money that you earn. Your spouse's income could be impacted here. Could be some sort of inheritance, debt, things like that, or it could just be transformation in general. There's a lot that happens within that 8th house. So whatever you want to grow and expand in those topic areas, that's where it's going to be. It's going to be a positive one here. Yeah, it's an easy flow of energy. And then we have the sun in Scorpio square Pluto in Capricorn. And so kind of that transformative self-expression, you coming across maybe differently than what you normally do, but still authentic to you. I mean, this is still you physically. It will square Pluto in Capricorn. And so the way that you're expressing yourself right now is creating obstacles or challenges to any additional changes that you're trying to make, or maybe the changes that you've already started making as it relates to the way that you're communicating, or as it relates to the way that you're processing all that information. The sun in Scorpio will square Mars in the sign of Cancer. And so this transformative self-expression, it is going to create some sort of obstacle or challenge here. So if you're trying to take some sort of action to lead to some sort of growth or abundance, there is going to be a friction point here. It is going to create some sort of challenging energy. You can find a way to work through it though, if that's your goal. And then sun in Scorpio will be opposite Chiron retrograde in Aries. And so that wound that's coming to the surface in your daily life, whatever action you need to take in order to heal that, it is going to be opposite the way that you're expressing yourself right now. And it has a lot to do with there's so much transformational energy happening that it's really hard to kind of be in a transformation and then also kind of, if you think about it, sew up a wound. Can you do that with shaky hands? Can you do that when you don't have your feet underneath you? Probably not. It's a little bit more difficult. That's that opposition type of energy. And then on the 31st, we have Mercury trine Neptune. So that's going to happen at 8:33 in the evening Eastern time. And so Mercury in Scorpio, again, it's all about you. It's all sitting in your first house, the way that you're expressing yourself, very transformative, very deep, intense conversations that you're having. It's easily going to flow, because we're back to that triangle, with Neptune retrograde in the sign of Pisces. So what kind of goals have you set for yourself? What is your ideal life with children, if you want them, your passion projects, your hobbies, could even be short-term relationships if you don't have a significant other. So whatever is happening there, the way that you're expressing yourself is easily going to flow with whatever your ideal scenario is, whatever that kind of house of fun, whatever your goals are in that area of your life. It's also going to easily flow with Mars in Cancer, which means any kind of action that you're trying to take to grow and expand who you are. The way that you're expressing yourself right now, the conversations that you're having, also really aids that. It really helps support that. Neptune retrograde, because again, they're all in a triangle, Neptune retrograde is also going to do the same things. So when you think about the goals that you want when it comes to your passion projects, hobbies, children, things like that, short-term relationships, the action that you're taking for your own personal growth is also going to easily flow with that energy. And so it's just all three of these having really solid, very easy conversations here, very easy blend of energy. And then during this transit, Mercury in Scorpio will be sextile Pluto in Capricorn. And so this is going to create some sort of opportunity for you to make changes to the way that you communicate or understand things. Neptune, because it's going to be Mercury in Scorpio, Neptune retrograde in Scorpio is going to have the same energy. So when you think about what are your ideal goals, it's also going to create an opportunity for you to maybe say things in a different way, understand things in a different way. Mercury in Scorpio will be opposite Uranus retrograde in Taurus. So those sudden changes that are happening in your significant relationship, so your marriage, if you're married, that significant other, the way that you're communicating right now, kind of these deep, intense conversations are just going to be opposite to whatever changes are happening in that relationship. And then Neptune retrograde in Pisces will sextile Uranus retrograde in Taurus. And so when you think about your ideal hobbies, your kids, passion projects, all of those things, it's going to create some sort of opportunity here for more changes to take place in your significant relationship. So in your marriage, if you're married, or your maybe long-term partner, somebody like that. And then Neptune retrograde in Pisces will square Jupiter retrograde in Gemini. And so when you think about those goals that you've set for yourself as they relate to children, all those things that are fun in your life here, hobbies, things like that, it is going to create some sort of obstacle or challenge to really going in and finding some sort of inner growth. Now, this inner growth could be connected to finances. If your goal is to maybe have more children, and that's a goal that you have, then it is going to create some sort of friction with the money that you're bringing in, because now they're going to cost more money. Same thing with a hobby. If you start pursuing hobbies that are more expensive or that you have to invest a lot in order to be able to do them, that's where you can see a square energy will come into play here. And so it's an energy you can work with. You just have to find that way of working through it. You just have to put some effort in. So Scorpio, this is your reading. I hope it resonates. If it did, please like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Take care.